Hello and welcome to the IGN UK podcast. I'm joined by the weary traveller that is Luke Kamali.
Hello, I've returned from my jaunts.
You are just one big holiday.
I am, aren't I?
Did that woman who used to sing pop hits from the 1980s sing a song called Holiday about you? What's her name?
Madonna.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, Jesus, Alex, that's quite a big one.
I am tired.
And what do you mean she used to sing pop hits? She's still...
Before she got strangled.
No, I would say she just sings at the minute.
I wouldn't even go that far necessarily, but...
And falls over.
True. That was funny.
So you could have gone up to her and said, how was your trip?
Don't laugh.
Yes!
Don't laugh at a pensioner falling over.
No, I'm...
How old's Madonna?
I don't know.
No, I checked it the other day.
Like, have a guess, both of you, right now.
59.
Go on, you use the mentality from...
58.
Alex wins.
What?
She's 56.
Oh, that's Price is Right mentality right there.
Would you?
Would I? Let me just go to Google Images.
Have you seen what her arms are quite withered?
She looks like beef jerky that's been in a window too long.
I think I've never seen beef jerky that's been in the window too.
Look at Madonna.
You want to go down Tooting High Street, mate?
Really?
It's all been there too long. It's all
Just
been
like
there.
Madonna hanging in the window.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was some halal jerky.
Oh, good.
So what's the age difference between her and Guy Ritchie?
All right, let's see.
Demi Moore.
You're going to
and
ask me to do quick maths here.
Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher was 12
it's not
years.
too much. It's 10 years.
Okay.
That's not that much at all.
Fair enough. Anyway, you are Daniel Krupa.
Yep.
And this week we're going to talk about lots of exciting things.
Just too many things.
Too many things.
Too
I'm so
much
excited.
excitement.
But first, obviously, this week Nintendo has announced that they're partnering with Universal Studios to bring Nintendo-themed attractions to many of their theme parks around the world, which got us thinking, not which Nintendo attractions we want to see, because that's obvious.
That's obvious.
Right? But which games and movie characters would you like to see have their own attractions that haven't got their own attractions already? That's the headline. That's the headline of this video.
Good. I can't wait to see that represented in tweet form.
Yeah, there are 460 characters.
Good.
Daniel.
Well, mine's kind of riffing off yours. I think yours should go.
Do you want me to go first?
I think you should go first, yes.
Well, Star Wars, obviously.
Yeah.
But
that's going to be happening.
that is going to be happening.
And there's already a Star Wars ride in, what do they call it now? They call it like Disney
Star Tours.
Studios. Yeah, like the Disney Studios theme park. It used to be called MGM Studios when I was a kid.
It's
Star Tours, yeah.
It's at
Paris
Disneyland
as well.
Paris as well, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the ride?
It's
Star Tours.
really old.
Yeah, it's really old. The
Because
tech.
I went on
yeah.
it last time I went to Disney, which was, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you kind of sit in a shuttle that's got R2-D2 and C-3PO doing the VO, and you kind of fly through space. But it's one of those big things that you just kind of get thrown around.
Motion simulator.
And it was really hot. And
I think I went to it in Japan as well.
Right.
But it's quite cool. Like the air is because there's a section of the park that's kind of a Star Wars theme. There's like an at, so it's more exciting because of
So
that.
the one, because I've been to two actually. Went to the one in Florida. That's got the AT-AT outside. The one in Disneyland. That's got an X-wing.
Spreading them out. So that's taken for granted.
That's done.
Okay.
But my other love, apart from my family, obviously.
Yeah, but you can't make them into a theme park.
That'd be a bit weird.
They're not mass appeal.
Just my family sitting there and me charging for people to look at them.
To have a ride. What?
It's all got a bit Fritzl.
It's a bit weird.
Yes.
Batman.
Look,
Yes.
good family man though, Fritzl, wasn't he?
He was, yes.
I loved his family. Too much of anything. Too much.
To get into the theme park, you have to lift up the bed and there's a little secret passageway going down.
God.
So many things I'm not going to say right now.
Batman is my other passion. Now, obviously, there are some Batman rides already. There's one in Six Flags in the US of A. But it's kind of basically a branded
roller
coaster. Whereas the thing I love about Disney is, coming back to the point you made about Star Tours, it's the whole theming of it and making it feel like it's an experience rather than, there's the ride queue for 2 hours to get to it.
Because it's similar. There's a Warner Brothers park in Madrid, and it's got 1 or 2 Batman attractions. But if you were doing a whole Batman theme park, what would be your main areas? I think I might know a couple.
Well, so you'd want the whole thing to kind of feel like a rundown kind of Gotham. And you're walking along, in the same way you walk along the main street in Disney.
Main Street, USA.
Right. But here, people try and take your wallet and shoot you down and stuff like that.
So basically clap them.
Would you go into a back alley and have a picture of the pearl necklace? Belonging to Martha Wayne. with Joe Chill standing there. That was a good photo opportunity. If you go like, imagine if there's like a little road off, everyone just posing where Batman's parents died.
with their corpses.
That would be quite funny. That you go in, and there's a cinema you can go in, and when you come out, your parents get shot.
Yeah, quite a traumatizing thing. There's my cousin and his son are playing the Arkham games together.
Right.
So we talked about when are age appropriate games, but he's enjoying them and he's playing with his son, and I think it's pitched just right the way they play them together. And there's a bit where I think in Arkham City you can find Crime Alley, and as Batman there's a button prompt that says mourn or something like that. You press the A button and he kind of kneels down, and my cousin's my little nephew thinks it's hilarious because it looks like Batman's having a poo.
How old is your cousin?
And my cousin's son is 7.
He's 19.
He's playing Batman.
Yeah.
Isn't that's pretty hardcore?
Yeah, well, but he's owning it, but he does think Batman's having a poo. So I think his interpretation of the game is quite different.
So it would seem.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've done the main. That's how you enter.
So that's the kind of main sort of Gotham bit. You would have obviously Arkham Asylum as your sort of haunted house.
Yeah.
But obviously more psychological, and Scarecrow could kind of factor into that.
That'd be great.
Would you have
house.
people in costumes as well?
Yes, of course. You want the whole meet and greet stuff.
Yeah,
like
and a parade.
Because people would say you'd have Reggie as the Nintendo
So that was
one.
the thing. Like in Burton's original Batman, you had the whole parade. That would be amazing, without the kind of killer gas I would suggest.
It depends. Some of the food in these theme parks is awful.
That is true.
But it's so easy to like map this and flesh it out into bigger ideas. Yeah. For instance, like I guess instead of Cinderella's castle, you'd have Wayne Mansion.
Wayne Manor.
Yeah.
And below
But that's the thing. But you've got to find it. It's not obvious. You've got to walk around and then you lean against something and then the bookcase opens and you go down.
Loads
to
of
the
people
back
go, I've never been to the Batcave. Come find it, mate.
How cool would that be?
It'd be great. Go down there and then you could get onto like a Batmobile ride.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what like they do really well in America is themed queuing. So queuing in itself isn't boring because the queues are huge. Yeah. Even with the advent of fast track, you queue for ages, but they make queuing interesting. So if you queue for the Batmobile ride, you'd be queuing through important areas of Wayne Mansion. Which would be great.
And imagine you're walking through there and you've got the giant T-Rex that's under there and all that.
Like all the
stuff.
terminals to read, and you have like case files, which basically the queuing areas are like filled with Easter eggs for you to kind of like point out and bide your time.
Yeah, and you've got like Oracle briefing you on the mission that's coming up and stuff like that. That would be like really, really cool.
Any other areas?
Well, it's kind of more variants of the theme, right? Because you've got the my mind's gone blank. What's the one that flies through the sky that's not the Batmobile?
Batwing.
Thank you. My brain.
My God, Alex.
I've not had a full night's sleep now for almost 2 months.
Much like Batman.
Yeah.
Much like,
It's the
I didn't
best
say
way.
why. That's why I'm out fighting crime on the streets of Birkenhead.
And trying to secure a deal with Disney.
That's a dangerous place.
Also, Batboat, you could do like the Jungle Cruise. And
Let's go-
Batman's there, and to your left there's an elephant.
There's an alligator.
But that was quite good
A little
because
bit faster
in
than
Batman
that.
Returns, the zoo is where the penguin hands hides out, so you could have some like creepy stuff going on there. Penguins.
And you'd also
Poison ivy, a botanical garden,
There you go.
diamonds from Mr. Freeze.
Well, I was going to say Mr. Freeze Ice Themed
skate.
Hotel.
Ice skating.
Now it's
That's rubbish.
But that
That's-
actually, you remember that happens in the film? Little ice
Still.
skates pop out of George Clooney's boots.
Oh, yeah, I
And it's
do
time to
remember that.
it's basically an ice hockey sequence in a Batman movie.
Yeah.
What? This happened.
Yeah.
It actually happened.
But so the
I
biggest
love it.
problem with it is that you'd want it to feel quite dark. Excuse me.
yeah. Only open at night.
But imagine that when the lights go down, you've got the bat.
Well, that's the
signal.
thing. Like, I've been
And
to
then a whole kind of
that's the
scene
firework display. It ends with a
play.
huge
yeah,
bat symbol.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but a display. I like that. With just trying to get.
But like,
The
that's what
monorail
they do.
that goes around the park. You could have the fight with
Hopefully doesn't crash.
Ra's al Ghul on top.
Yeah.
Always crashing at the end. At least 10 families are guaranteed to die at the end of every day at the park.
See, the problem with this theme park is a little bit like the Thunderdome. It's like, 2 people enter and one leaves because they're either shot by coming out the cinema or they die.
Come
in the
to
monorail.
Batman World, you'll leave an orphan.
It's authentic.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's your idea of riffing
So
off of that?
riffing off that is maybe downsize the Batman area just to ensure more kids leave with both parents.
Okay.
or are still a functioning family unit. So DC World. And Gotham would be, you know, the way the kind of Magical Kingdom is structured. You go in down the main street, and then it's a sequence of different mini parks from the Jungle World to kind of all the way up inside the Tomorrowland area. Yep. So yeah, Gotham would be one of them. Another one would be like a Superman themed area where you could have the Fortress of Solitude. You could have a Daily Planet sort of area where you could have like a theme ride in there, kind of like a motion coaster. Yeah.
Is that what they're called, motion coasters?
Well, if you go to Islands of Adventure in Universal Studios in Florida, they have an amazing Spider-Man ride. I'm sure it's dated a bit now, but it's like a motion coaster. So it's like Star Tours, but it's also moves around as well.
Oh, okay.
And you wear 3D glasses. So for instance, you're in this like capsule, this little car, and Spider-Man will land on the front of the bonnet. And as he lands, the thing tips forward. So it gives the illusion of weight.
Yeah.
He's in 3D and he's like, I need your help. Right. And there's like the scenery moves around you. So like you'll fall off the side of the building and Spider-Man, the perspective will change. Yeah. So it feels like you're falling downwards and Spider-Man will catch you and there's like heat effects. So it's really cool. Yeah. So it's a bit more immersive than just pop on your 3D specs sort of thing. Okay. So you could have that for a Superman experience. I think would be great because you could get cold when you go to the Arctic, and then you can just extend it, and you know, like when you get into the space area of Magical Kingdom, you can have like Green Lantern stuff, more cosmic stuff, Cyborg for technology, and you could even have a water park, which is Atlantis for Aquaman.
Nice.
That's nice.
You've got to think about your water park.
That's nice.
Yeah. See, that's one thing that Disneyland Paris doesn't have.
Water parks are great. Like there's Blizzard Beach in. I'm just telling you about my holiday now. Blizzard Beach, where it's like a ski resort in Florida. So good.
There's a good water park in Gran Canaria where I go often.
What's that got to do with?
I thought one about water parks. We want about water parks.
That's bullet point 2.
Yeah, I thought there was water parks.
Right, so we've done 2 kind of movie comic related.
Yes.
Luke, what have you got?
Well, so I was going to bring up. I had 2 options because I'm greedy, but one was a while ago we covered, and I don't know what's happened to it. I tried to find it. A World of Warcraft theme park that was opened in China, but illegal.
The Chinese have taken down your story.
But this is the thing; it was illegal, and so there was never any notice of whether it was kind of copyright.
You know what it's called? It's called World Joyland.
There you go. It's called World Joyland.
It's in Changzhou.
So there you go. And
But anyway, that exists.
It kind of riffs on that. Well, it riffs on that in StarCraft, but I think there's a huge potential there for an actual real Warcraft. Theme park. I think that'd be awesome.
What would be different between the fake Warcraft theme park and the real Warcraft?
It
Apart from a little trademark after the
yeah, exactly, would have a seal of approval. I just think they've got so much lore and so many different animals. Because there it's kind of actually just... Basically what they've done is they've made a fantasy... They've wanted to make kind of a fantasy theme park and couldn't be bothered to come up with their own design.
So they just Google image search.
They've pretty done like, you know, what does an elf look like? Oh, well, you know what? This is a coherent design. Let's just place this on everything. So that's one of them, whatever. But I think the real one that I'd want to do is in the Final Fantasy games, there is like an area called the Gold Saucer area. And it's kind of like, it's really bright and shiny. It's kind of like what you imagine, you know, downtown Tokyo to be like, you know, with all these lights flashing everywhere.
So neon.
Yeah, basically.
Sorry, when you just said the Gold Saucer, I had visions of giant like saucer that was very sparkly.
There you go.
But not neon-y.
No, it's neon-y. It should be called the neon-y saucer.
Okay.
And there's lots of cool stuff there. There's lots of gambling there, really. But there's roller coasters.
I think you're describing Vegas.
See, this is the thing, but Final Fantasy themed.
Okay.
Think of it, friends.
That's why if you go to Vegas, is what I know. There's loads of themed slot machines. There's a slot machine for anything you like. I wouldn't be surprised if there was. They just license it. There's like Beetlejuice slot machines.
Well, because there's one of the big things in the game is you race chocobos around it.
Ostrich racing.
Exactly. Or I was going to say chickens with steroids, but I like your idea.
You know what happens when you genetically modify animals?
Yeah.
There's a film coming out about this very thing.
Good things. So I think that'd be fun.
See, that is the other thing. A proper Jurassic Park.
Yeah, there's a section in Universal Studios which is pretty good.
I don't think that's ever gone well though, has it?
That opened very shortly after I last went there.
It's really good. There's a visitor centre. Also, you can get American turkey legs, which these sell them as like, oh, you can eat a dinosaur leg. They don't say it like that. They say it in an American accent.
Yeah.
Similar thing. And I had one as a kid. It's huge, but I had braces at the time. I spent all afternoon picking turkey out of my brace.
What a nice story.
Awful.
That is a good story.
But both my parents survived for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, butterbeer.
which I've never actually tried. You've been.
It's like so that's
been
the
to the one
one
in Watford.
yeah, it's the one in London, which is basically it's kind of a museum tour of all the
Right.
Basically, they took a lot of the
props.
stuff they used from.
Yeah, and it's like they shot some of it there as well. So it's basically a soundstage they've modded into
as
a museum.
opposed to.
The Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which is actually a fully fledged theme
Why don't
park.
we get that? How come
I
the
know.
Americans get that?
I
We should
know.
get that.
We almost got the Warner Brothers park that's in Madrid. They almost built it in West London, far West London, like Ruislip. And then they thought, no, build it in Madrid. It has gone well for you, hasn't
Madrid?
it? I'm sure it has been
Ruislip?
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's actually. I haven't been to Alton Towers for a very long time, but I know I was looking last year. That's because they've opened a CBBC world there.
Oh.
Not quite the same.
No.
But you can go on a Postman Pat ride.
That's kind of my level, if I'm honest.
I was doing some research, and they were King Abdullah II of Jordan is spending 1.5 billion to build a Star Trek theme park. Apparently,
What is that?
this was from
that
this article was from a couple of years ago, so I'm not sure how that's getting on.
Is that licensed?
I think it looks like it is. So
Yeah.
good luck, King Abdullah II of
So-
Jordan.
So Batman, DC, Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
So don't forget, you can let us know which theme parks you would like to create. How do they let us know, Dan?
IGN_UK feedback IGN.com.
You got it. Next up, the good things that have happened this week. And, Nintendo has done a bunch of stuff
They have.
around Splatoon.
They have. They had a Nintendo Direct this week, which was very exciting. I think the most exciting bit to come out of it is there is a beta, or a beta, depending how you want to.
You can play the game yourself.
You can this very weekend.
Yes.
So there should be a beta. Okay. So you should
public service
So you
announcement.
should be able to download it now. There's only set hours that you can do it, and you need to have a look at on the site to find out when they are. But it kicks
you
off on
can't
Saturday
remember.
because yeah, pretty much.
How do you actually get the demo?
So you just It's available now from the Wii U eShop.
Okay.
But
Wii U.
Wii U eShop.
Easy for you to say.
And then basically it'll just work in certain times. And
job
it
you're
won't
not
in
French.
others. I know. So there you go. That's pretty much that's kind of the main direct news. There wasn't really anything else that was too exciting, other than we learned more about how the amiibo work with it. Because we've heard about them before. They unlock challenges, and if you complete the challenges, then you get to unlock 3 mini games involving that look very retro and have kind of a NESy feel to them.
A bit better of an investment than the amiibo. You unlock some in all your games, pretty much.
Oh,
Quite a few of
also,
them.
the only other thing is that they've promised like DLC in the future.
Right.
You know, like a free DLC as well, which is good. So new maps, rotations, and all of this.
Okay.
So they do sound quite committed to it, which is always nice.
So on the topic of Amiibo, obviously this week it was announced that Disney Infinity 3 is coming out, Star Wars. How do you think that Amiibo will kind of coexist? Because you can do a lot more with Amiibo than you can... No, sorry. A lot more with Infinity characters. You put them on, then they actually appear in the game
Yeah.
compared to Amiibo.
Well, it depends how you look at it.
Because Amiibo surely give more functionality.
Unlock stuff across a variety of games.
That's
And I
true.
imagine
Yeah,
it
yeah.
won't be long before there might be a game that integrate them in a bigger way.
Yeah.
For instance, say they bring out Nintendo Land 2
Yeah.
and the ones you have are your avatars in that. I'm sure they're building towards something.
Yeah.
Like a game that incorporates them in another way.
I was kind of amazed that they didn't use them like that in Mario Party 10. Like, you know, even if it's just as simple as you put it in and that's your figure or something.
Well, I almost wonder whether the development of this thing's later than the current development
Yeah.
cycle on some of these games. So if you
Must
like
be.
the next version of these games, they might be there at a more kind of root level.
Yeah.
Whereas now they're kind of, to extend the tree metaphor, mid-branch.
Right. How many more have they got to go? Like, obviously, you look at Marvel's universe.
Separate. They're already on the second wave of Mario.
Yeah.
They'll do multiple waves, like different poses.
And I'm
Goth Mario.
Nobody here is really kind of like properly mad about it.
I've got two. I think they're really good-looking figures.
They are.
And
They're
they're
really
really
well
well done.
Rory has the Link one.
Right.
I know he
The Link's
bought
one of
that.
the worst ones. I've got that one as well because he's got that little prop keeping him upright.
But he
quite like-
bought the Link one for no apparent reason because he.
But that's the thing, they're quite
at
good
that time,
little
he didn't
toys,
even.
though.
Yeah.
But exactly, so that's the thing. At that stage, he doesn't have a Wii U and he didn't have, I think, an XL, or a new 3DS
Yeah.
rather. So he couldn't use it with that. He just wanted it because it looked cool.
Yeah, because there's a relatively, absence of decent Nintendo merch around. So
The
they're
Disney
good.
Infinity figures are really good.
Yeah.
Really,
So
really good.
I hope I reviewed Disney Infinity last year, and I thought the game was a bit well, actually very inferior to the game that came out the year beforehand.
Disney inferior. They
Disney
should have called
inferior.
it.
Nice.
Terrible marketing. They should have done that. Sorry, guys. We're going to say it.
Just holding our hands up
We're
here.
going to say it. This year, Disney superior.
Yeah.
I feel like they've probably looked at review scores, Metacritic, and gone.
He said in New Zealand.
Alan.
You can't, not again. Although they probably was already in development. They've got some bigger development teams involved. Ninja Theory, Sumo. I think they might have done bits and bobs here and there before, but it's cool. Star Wars, and there is actually some like prequel era stuff. The first time that's really been mentioned since Disney took over, that they've kind of really pushed that version of Anakin,
right?
Because they did kind of distance themselves a bit, didn't they?
Well, they just weren't. They were just with this new trilogy, I think, really tapping into the magic of the original trilogy. Because I feel like they think, as an overall experience, that's why people didn't like the prequels. I think again, this is my hypothesis. I think they think the prequels didn't go down so well because they undermine what people love about the originals. You love Luke, you love Han, you love Leia, you love Chewbacca, and then suddenly you had 3 films which said they're not that important.
Yeah.
It's more about this one person. Yeah, there you go.
On the topic of Star Wars, this Monday, it was May the 4th. Star Wars Day, as it's now been called. I'm a big fan of Star Wars. I must admit, I found the whole thing a little bit painful.
I felt like this year was really a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Like, I've got my biggest issue with the Star Wars UK official account.
Right.
Did you see this?
No.
Some madman went loose on it.
What?
Tweeting all day to various British celebrities going, "Happy Star Wars Day, Vernon Kay. What are you doing? Please tell us. Happy Star Wars Day, Gary Byler. What are you doing? Please tell us." And just that all afternoon, I was like,
what has happened?
Well, I don't care what Vernon Kay's doing to celebrate Star Wars Day.
I hated just the fact how every brand decided to jump on it. Like Walker's tweeted a picture of smoky bacon saying, "The bacon is strong with this one."
Well, it's funny you should say that because there is a section on this week's Rebel Base where we talk exactly
Oh,
about
really?
that.
Well, there you go.
So you should check out Rebel Base. But, some exciting news.
It's awful.
We found out that Gwendolyn Christie is Captain Phasma, which we kind of thought anyway.
Yeah, which I think I'm quite excited about. I've decided.
What are you excited about?
Because I think she's awesome, and I'm glad that we always knew that she was going to be. Well, we kind of knew she was a villain, right?
No,
I did. Well, I would have liked her to be.
We don't know that much about her at all.
So I would have liked her to be a villain. I think she could really pull that off. And
we don't know. We don't know if Captain Phasma
if as a villain.
True, but from that outfit, it looks like she's going to be involved in some, combat situations, which I'm excited by because I think she's badass. No,
a massive gun might be involved in combat. Look, might be.
She's very shiny.
What I'm saying is relevant, I believe.
Oh, bet she was a nightmare to shoot, though. JJ, cameras in her chest. Oh, JJ.
We have problems with the reflections off this telly. Imagine what that must be like.
DP's just there going, honestly, can we not just go with the white bloody stormtrooper, JJ?
Matt.
Yeah.
I've got this idea for an alien. What is it? Is it a mirror? Well, a little mirror alien.
I love it.
Also, we found out that Adam Driver is indeed Kylo Ren.
He is.
Or
Which,
Milo Ken,
again, everyone thought.
How did everyone react to that? Because so this was when I was away, and so I wasn't looking at it or anything.
Right.
And then when I saw him, and I was like, I kind of forgot you were in it. And
my reaction was, is that what you're looking for?
Because he's quite I think I was in that no reaction because I always thought he was.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I'll have his mask on for a lot of it.
But I do like obviously it all came out from the latest issue of Variety with a big cover shoot from Annie Leibovitz.
Wasn't it Vanity Fair?
Yes, that's what I meant to say. Anyway. But obviously the picture of Captain Phasma standing in front of a burning building, so you would think that there has been some combat.
Again, maybe an allusion to New Hope, burning people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But the thing I loved about the Kylo Ren stuff was the snowtroopers in the background. And I said this on Rebel Base, and I'm going to say it again here because Gav poo-pooed it. It looks like they're not just white stormtroopers on Hoth, which they look like they've got adaptive camouflage or something like that. They're kind of blending in a bit.
Let's have a look.
And Gav was like, it's just because they want the photo to kind of focus more on the bad dude at the front. But I'm like, I don't know. You never know.
No, I'm not sure.
Oh.
I do love the design there.
Why don't you just
Marry
go away?
Gav.
Well, I can definitely see what you're saying.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just saying I'm not sure, but I can definitely
I think.
see that interpretation.
Well, I'm excited. I thought Adam Driver. He's known for girls, right?
Yes.
Anything else?
The TV show.
He was in the
Ultimate.
US Marines, so he's a hard.
Was he actually in the
Yeah.
Marines?
Yeah.
Really?
So active service,
I think he's really, really
What?
good.
Adam Driver?
in girls.
If you don't want to believe me.
No, see, I haven't seen Girls, and I just kind of assumed.
Shortly after the September 11th attacks, Driver joined the United States Marine Corps. He served for 2 years and 8 months before suffering an injury while mountain biking. Oh yeah, were you? And was medically discharged before he could deploy to Iraq. Oh, so he didn't see service.
Oh, so-
and then he went to Juilliard.
Oh, see, as you do.
He texted him.
I kind of thought that he was just a bit wimpy in Girls, and so I was like, when they
he's
cast
No,
acting.
no, he's properly nuts.
Is he?
Yeah.
In Girls, see, I haven't seen Girls. So.
And he's properly like kind of stacked as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you're making assumptions. You've not seen it, but you're kind of saying, "Oh yeah, he's like that." You haven't seen it.
Well, also, I should point out he's an actor.
and you know
Yeah.
what? And now I am doubly surprised and rejoiced.
I
for-
think he'll make a great bad guy.
Yeah. Okay.
I really do.
Do you
I like-
reckon Kylo Ren will survive that film?
I would hope so. I don't think they would repeat the Darth Maul move.
Yeah, because
Where
that was a mistake.
you set. Also, yeah, I think they'll set him up for a bit. I
Surely
think
that's
he's going
what-
to be a more important antagonist than.
Surely that's what worked so well
Also, we
about
still-
Vader, right? As well, like the fact that you have three, you get to know them and see.
Yeah, he's a proper character.
Yeah, and
like,
it's a longer journey.
But that's
Yeah.
like you were saying. There was
a rumor that he might be collecting memorabilia belonging to Darth Vader, like artifacts, and almost position himself as like the second coming of
I thought
Vader.
you said
see.
he was related to potentially. Related.
There's also various fan theories. We did a feature that went live on May the 4th about like the various editors think might happen in The Force Awakens. And one theory, spoiler, might not even be a spoiler, is that there'll be some kind of kinship between Kylo Ren and another, like one of the good characters.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a bit Vader Luke, but these are the chosen generation, and there aren't many of them left.
Well, you definitely, or what I would like to see from the trilogy as a whole is that you've got these characters that grow and become more established,
Yeah.
but there is something happening underneath that you
Yeah.
don't discover until the second or third
Yeah.
film. That'd be.
And I think that's how Abrams will use the original cast. It's like a framing device, as old Ben was in the original.
Yeah.
And some of them might not make it, but they'll be a presence throughout all three. It's not just setup. It's not like Leonard Nimoy in Star Trek, where it was more like it'll be more substantial. It'll be more integral to the story they're
Do
telling.
you think he's got the balls to kill off any of the original characters?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think?
It will happen.
Yeah.
I think it'll happen.
Part of me thinks that the original characters wouldn't want to be in all three anyway, would they?
I'm sure some of them would. I bet Harrison Ford didn't want to be in any of them.
Yeah. I bet you Harrison Ford was like, I'll come back if you kill me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder who'll die. It'll happen. It'll be sad.
Also out, I think it came out over the weekend. Obviously, last week's podcast, we spoke about Jared Leto's new Joker look,
Yes.
and how it's kind of split opinion. But then David Ayer revealed the entire Suicide Squad. line.
Yeah. And also, if you put together all his Instagrams and print them off, it's actually a flip book of the entire movie at this point.
You do feel like, God, this movie's not out for quite a long time.
I have seen a lot.
Yeah, I think part of it might be intentional strategy, that this is a thing that is not that well known outside of comic book circles, and there's a degree of consciousness raising, like awareness raising around who these people are, who these characters are, what the hell it is.
Yeah.
That the fact that they're all imprisoned, and to get freedom they have to go on these like special ops.
Yeah.
To be let out of the prison.
They keep
that they're in.
adding to the cast list, though, don't they, as well? Like,
Yeah, well,
a
it's-
terrifying rate.
Yeah, so the more and more characters in it, it more feels like it's going to be like almost a kind of an X-Men style movie.
Yeah.
So do you want to know who's in it? They released a picture. It has Slipknot, Captain Boomerang, Enchantress, Katana, Rick Flag, Deadshot, Harley Quinn, El Diablo, and Killer Croc.
Yeah. So the kind of two standout characters for me are obviously Harley Quinn,
Yeah.
who I think she looks great.
Yep.
Again, it's got that literalism of her phrases. She's got the choker that says pudding.
Yeah.
And I think she has some tattoos that you can't quite make out.
Yeah.
I don't know what they'll be.
But then obviously Killer Croc. And again, we spoke about Killer Croc and we kind of looked at some of the potential mock-ups. He looks a lot like the Arkham Asylum Killer Croc.
Yeah. First one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced, if I'm honest. Not just about that, but about the whole thing. It's just they look so generic. And Will Smith, oh my God, if there is ever a more disinterested person in one of the official photos, I'd like to see it.
The thing is, they led with that obviously to go, hey, it's Will Smith, but the mask, the actual mask, not the fake mask that was on set, so it actually looks all right.
Yeah.
There's Killer Croc if you haven't seen it.
Maybe.
He does, like, Killer Croc is a bit weird in that initial photograph. The image I just showed Alex and Luke is a picture of one of the characters from the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yep.
And one of the Koopa Troopers, and it just, I wasn't that sold on it. Like some of the other pictures, again, it's not on camera. You don't know if they're going to augment it. It looks better in some other pictures, but just first off, I just didn't really like it.
So I understand the point of like trying to get people on board with Suicide Squad, get familiar with people. But for me right now, it's like less is more. Just stop talking about it. Let me see that stuff in action, and then
I'm kind of happy to wait for it.
It looks a bit like weird Expendables.
Yes.
Like eccentric Expendables, like Jai Courtney, and that he looks like a bit of a chav with a leather jacket on, and it's just, I don't know, it looks a bit all like Katana and Enchantress, who is Cara Delevingne. I just think the look is just a bit.
Cara Delevingne is an interesting choice as well.
She looks like she should be in Beetlejuice.
Winona Ryder, yeah.
Yes.
Cara Delevingne's an interesting choice.
It just looks. I don't think there's anything particularly clever about any of the designs, really.
No.
They're just a bit. We had a conversation on side. They look a bit 90s, like the kind of that early superhero, where it's just.
So if you work under the premise that maybe because of such a big cast, it might be like X-Men, for example, who do you...
It has to be an ensemble piece,
Who do you reckon will be... Because, that kind of pivoted around Wolverine, right? And Rogue in the first one. Who do you think will be presumably Harley Quinn and Joker, maybe?
Well, Joker's not here. The Joker, I think, would be maybe something they have to go rescue, or something like almost like an antagonist. They would want it to be Rick Flag. The fact that it's being played by Joel Kinnaman and not Tom Hardy makes you raise that question.
Yeah.
If it was Tom Hardy in that picture, you would definitely say Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
And that changes your perception. So going on that basis, Rick Flag is the leader of the group.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it will have to be him. Whereas because they don't have that AAA star, I think that's a bit harder to get around. And obviously Will Smith, yes, his career's tailed off to a degree. He's still Will Smith.
It's still a big draw, yeah. But you're absolutely right. I would probably be a whole lot more excited if Tom Hardy was standing in the
I'm kind of glad Tom Hardy's not in, especially when he said earlier in the week he'd like to be Frank Castle.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah. So that's the good stuff that happened this week.
Yes.
The bad is that Sony has had some bad news.
Yes, Sony has decided that they are not doing a press conference at Gamescom, which we say it's bad news. It's not really. They made the point that because E3 is a week later than usual this year, Gamescom's a week earlier, there's not as much time, and so they've
also got no games coming out.
Well, there's that. I mean, they've dressed it up as the fact is they would literally just be retreading what they've announced at E3, so what's the point?
Yeah.
But the good news is instead, in October, they will be at Paris Games Week and will be announcing stuff there.
But that's obviously very close to when they would normally do
the PlayStation Experience, which is usually
6
December.
weeks later or something like that.
So, I mean, what you'd hope maybe is they make the announcements at Paris Games Week and then they give people hands-on at the PSX.
So is there still consumer show presence for Sony at Gamescom?
They haven't said anything yet in terms of that yet.
If I was a punter and there was no PlayStation present, that's
big.
A big miss. So what do they show?
Well, this is
Seriously.
the thing. It's comforting in a way that they're not just going to trot out and kind of be like, we've got this, and pull stuff out of their arse. They are.
I'd turn up to a press conference where somebody did that.
What do we call it? A press conference. It's a very different type of show.
He's very statesman-like, isn't he? And it was. What's that? It looks like a kill zone. It looks like a. It's a resistance.
It's a resistance.
That's the thing. So I think I've mentioned before about my daughter watching these Play-Doh egg videos that do
Yeah.
like tens of millions of views. Imagine if it was that. It was just like the FA Cup.
Let's have a little rummage round.
Oh, open it up from his little bum egg. Oh,
It's until done. Let's put that back up for a little bit. Just,
exactly.
It's not quite ready.
nah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I found the PS3 version. We should have shut that away ages ago.
So yeah, basically that's sad news, but it's sad news. It's kind of sad for us, I guess.
Well, it's
We'll
not
be
because
there.
it means we get to go to Paris in October now.
It does. I suppose that's something.
Yeah. It's a shame because just to the extent that Gamescom, they used to like make some really good announcements, like smaller games, new games.
Well, I maintain that last year, for me at least, Gamescom was more exciting than E3. And I really thought that Gamescom was on the track to becoming the big show of the year, more so than E3.
Was it because you had your first pork knuckle?
No, I didn't have a pork knuckle.
Oh.
I just had lots of schnitzel, didn't I?
Schnitzel. Without the sauce.
Without the sauce, obviously.
I've got a picture, an idea. Like what we should do for E3, you know, when we live stream all the conferences, do a second audio track where it's us doing commentary, kind of like Eurovision.
Yeah, like
We
Graham
would
Norton.
absolutely get sued.
Just get him pissed.
Luke's like, he's pulling one out.
See, I wouldn't fancy doing it live because I know that the kind of
Stuff would come out with. Yeah, it'd be great
awful things that
if
will
we
come
ever
out
leave
like
RGN and spin out as kind of interesting. That's the sort of thing we can do.
vaguely interesting. That's what-
Kind of rubbish. Good.
So yeah, there you go.
And then the other really bad news, or good news, depends on like McDonald's is bringing Hamburglar back. Now, firstly, do you know who Hamburglar is?
I do.
You remember him?
I do, and I remember Grimace, who was my personal favourite, and Birdo. Birdie. But Grimace was my favourite. Grimace was my favourite. They've revamped him as well.
So that's the thing. He used to look a little bit like the kid from Mad Magazine. I don't know what he's called.
Yeah.
But with like
Ginger
obviously-
Freckles, man.
Yeah, but
Boy.
like with burglar outfits on. So obviously a stripy top,
Yeah.
a mask, and a burglar.
He was always a good-natured, integral
Lovable-
member of the group.
Yeah, he was a lovable rogue.
I would, and if you try to steal my burger, punch him in the face.
Weren't they all a little bit? I remember because I was quite young when he was around originally, and I remember finding it quite confusing. Like, why is Ronald McDonald a
Touching
lovable
me.
clown?
Why is he touching me? It's my birthday. Why is he hiding in the ball
Why-
pit
why-
naked?
Why are you ruining my memories?
Just imagine that swimming down to the bottom of the ball pit and there's just a naked clown and he's just got the white face paint on.
That is horrible. That is.
I should be directing the new version of it.
This
I'm
is
just
new from
saying.
the
New
recesses
PT.
of your mind.
From the recesses of my mind.
My mind.
So anyway,
But I was just going to say, I found it weird that there was a clown who was lovable, hanging out with Grimace, this purple lump, a flying woman who looked a little bit tricksy, and then a burglar who was evil.
I used to like the big kind of hamburger dudes who had. The
Oh, they were good, weren't they?
Oh, what was he
They were
called?
good.
What was he called?
Hamburger head. I don't know.
Was he? I don't know what he was.
Count Von Patty. I don't know.
What? Anyway, the new look Hamburglar.
Oh, he's an actual man?
Yeah, he's an
That's
actual
more
man.
sinister. No, don't do that.
Yeah, right?
He looks really kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It's like they're bringing like Christopher Nolan style grittiness to McDonald's.
They've Nolaned it. They've Nolaned it.
They've gone full Nolan. Never go full Nolan.
Never go
Grimace is like some hideously scarred man.
But like, it's just so weird. So yeah, there he is. He's kind of like a proper.
He's really grown up. Is it Jai Courtney? He's getting
Well,
around
now,
Jai Courtney.
now it's really terrifying. So there was
do you know what the Hamburglar was known as?
What?
So he emerged in the 1970s. His original design. I think this is the second time he's been redesigned.
Okay.
When he first appeared, he had a long nose. He was old. Had a long nose, grey hair, and was called the Lone Jogger.
The Lone
He was
Jogger.
known as the Lone Jogger.
What?
I think it was Mayor McCheese. I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, it's Mayor. Yeah,
Mayor McCheese?
Mayor McCheese. There he is.
I'm going to look up the Lone Jogger.
This is the best.
And he was like an old troll.
No, I mean, I quite like.
I bet people love listening to us Google.
No, I know.
Yeah, I liked Grimace. He was my favourite back in the day. He looked very huggable.
It's a bit more creepy. The Lone Jogger.
Oh, gosh, that is weird.
Jog on,
Why is
mate.
he called the Lone Jogger?
I don't know. Always jogs alone.
wonder
Never
what-
jog alone. Never jog alone.
You wonder
Also,
why-
if you're into fitness, you probably wouldn't steal hamburgers, right?
Maybe he wants other people to become fit,
Exactly.
so he steals it from them.
A personal trainer type thing.
So yeah, he's also known as the Burger Pilferer.
was catchy.
Always foiled by Ronald McDonald in McDonald's TV commercials.
Oh, there you go. So Ronald and him weren't, well, on the box artwork.
Ronald, first name terms.
Oh, Ronald. Well, if you sat on his face. There's a whole new meaning to the word ball pit.
Oh my god, I'm enjoying this. This is fun.
So anyway, the second part of this, which I find absolutely bizarre, is that Time magazine has written a really long piece on why bringing him back makes no sense, because they actually wrote this, stuff that's most frequently targeted by thieves, like money, jewelry and cars, is stolen because it's high priced. Blah, 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 blah. Stealing hamburgers makes no sense because burgers keep their already low value for 2 hours tops. It's like, what?
Wow.
They've like
Analysed
I
it.
know, it's like, I don't think they bought it back.
It's the conclusion, like, really perfect. It's like, to be honest, in this day's world,
This economic climate.
there's actually no future stealing hamburgers. So you probably want to start doing that, mate.
And it's
Go back to jogging.
It's so weird.
Go back to jogging. There is a lot of money to be made in personal training.
Volume is a questionable motivation here too, because the Hamburglar's method of stashing his burgled burgers is in a big sack, and he puts them at high risk of losing their structural integrity. This has got to be a piss take.
It is. Yeah, it absolutely is.
I think
Unless
it
it's
is.
a real thing in America. I don't know. Maybe that's why they got all the guns.
But
But
to
it's-
protect the hamburgers.
It's
Yeah.
Time magazine.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect them to do like a parody piece. Would you?
I don't know. So not in favour of the new look?
Maybe. No,
But
No.
we like the character of Hamburglar in
I always
principle.
found him a
But-
bit morally queryable.
but I do think like if you're going to bring Hamburglar back like that, then surely Ronald McDonald is going to come back like, you know,
Batman, like
What?
Bruce Wayne.
I was thinking like the clown.
Like,
clown from
it'll come back. Yeah, it'll come back like that, or Ledger's Joker.
Scary. Yeah.
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 I never.
Do you want to know how I got these stores? Anyway.
Let's move on to feedback. Krupa, you're up first.
Yes, first one, Adam Thomas reacts in about end of last week when we were talking about Dragon Ball. He says Goku will win without a shadow of a doubt. Lol.
Yeah, so that was following on from Rory, who is the only person who I know who knows anything about those things, telling us
Dragon Ball.
what he thinks.
Yeah, I have to listen to that.
Dragon Ball Z.
So I've got an email from Rob, or Viking Rob, according to his email address.
All right, Rob. Calm down,
It
mate.
says, are there any metalheads in the IGN offices? People who like heavy metal music, Luke.
What is heavy
I'm gonna go with no.
What is heavy metal?
What is metal?
What is love?
No, is the short answer to that. But he was very excited because he found out that Ronnie James Dio, who is a vocalist for, I'm trying to find out, who is it? Oh, he's in Black Sabbath. I didn't know that. I've heard of them.
Yeah.
He had his own
I've got another one who
Famicom
meant-
game, like
Wow.
back in the day. That's what he says. Is it well known or good? I don't know. Maybe.
That's your ear, Alex.
Yeah, but I've no idea. The fact that I had to Google Ronnie James Dio, I have no idea who that
A lot
was.
of heavy metal in my household. My girlfriend's really into heavy metal.
Right.
Wasn't Ozzy Osbourne in Black Sabbath?
He was, Luke.
But he hasn't got a game.
No.
Well, maybe he has,
Well, he
but I don't know.
probably. I bet you has about one biting the head off bats.
Oh, he did that quad biking game, didn't he?
No, he didn't do that.
I was going to say something else, and I'm definitely. I think he was in.
Team
I
Racing.
think he was actually in Brutal Legend. It looks like.
Oh, yes,
yeah, no,
okay.
That would make sense. Yes.
And obviously, we have Guitar Hero and Rock Band, which I'm throwing out there as a thing. Don't they sometimes have characters that you can play as?
They have characters. I don't
No,
know
but sometimes.
Slash was in Guitar
You'll enjoy
Hero
the
3.
new Guitar Hero. It's much more like pop based as well. If you want it to be, it can be anything you want.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
guitars are in all kinds of songs.
They are actually, and I'd appreciate it if people remember that.
They've got all the notes.
They have all the songs. So, mine is from Luke from Sid Cup, not me.
Can I just say one thing? The other thing about Rob's email is I think he's actually written it in Comic Sans,
Oh,
which is the sign of class, right? So thank you, Rob.
Rob. Rob. We can't go into it, but Rob. Okay, so Luke from Sid Cup has said, "Hi guys, you often mention that Dan is a bit of a Jeremy is a bit of a Jeremy Renner
Whoa,
lookalike.
calm down, mate.
However, I think he looks a lot more like Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam."
Have you ever had that before?
Never had Eddie Vedder before.
Well, who's Eddy Vedder?
I looked him up.
He's the
I
lead
don't
singer
think I
of
look
Pearl Jam.
that much like him.
But apparently in your appearance and your mannerisms.
Can you give us a little
Is he from Blackburn?
burst?
Tapping. That's Eddie Van Halen.
Oh, there you go.
Jump.
I think it's from Seattle.
Oh, okay. See, knowledge.
So yeah,
He also...
In fact, there's a thing on the IGN UK podcast Facebook page right now talking about our likenesses.
Oh, God.
They haven't got to you yet.
Thank Christ.
who would you like, Luke? Tom Daly, Skirt V.
I get Tom Daly, but I also get that Chicharito guy from...
Chikorito.
Chicharito.
Yeah.
I get him.
I was going to post Tilly.
I got
posted
Jamie
myself.
Cullen once upon a time.
Really?
I know. But that was back when he was youthful until his looks.
I posted myself as Marcus Bridgestock because I got in there first. I may as well.
Yeah.
Own the conversation.
Own
Yeah.
the conversation.
Preempt.
I was also going to post Tilly as Leisure Suit Larry, but unfortunately my signal went on my phone, and then I kind of forgot.
Such an opportunity missed.
Yeah.
And he also says the main reason that he's writing is to say how great an addition he thinks Gav is to the team.
Here.
I tend to disagree with most of the things he says. He constantly makes me laugh and seems to fit in perfectly with the whole vibe of the content you produce. Whoever's in charge of recruitment deserves a raise. Good luck with that.
That's me.
Yeah, good luck.
What about Pooh Beard that I was mentioning earlier?
Sorry?
Remember I
Whoa,
mentioned
there's no
earlier?
way to talk about your colleagues, Luke.
No, I was saying earlier. So earlier we were talking about
Is
Gav's
that what you call
beard.
him behind his back?
Earlier we were talking about Gav and the fact that he has a beard, and I said there was a study in the paper this week that said beards have been discovered to contain more fecal matter than most toilets.
Yeah, but in Gav's you can see it.
But
That's massive nuggets. Oh.
Why did you do that? Why have you gone that far?
Oh.
Yeah. Isn't that just because people don't wash their hands after doing what they
Doesn't matter. It's still there, isn't it? It's still there, just dangling right below you, right below the airwaves.
No, but like, why would it be on your face?
Well, you know they say that if you don't close the lid of a toilet and you flush it, unless you're 3 meters away, you're going to get fecal matter on you.
They say. I've never heard.
You
them
know
say
the
that.
other thing though. So like, if you keep a toilet brush near your toilet,
a toothbrush.
a toothbrush near your toilet, and you put the toothbrush in the poo. There's poo on the toothbrush.
No, they all. It's a fact.
You
Anyway,
read too many things on the internet.
it's my job.
Anyway,
He's read too many.
I'm very
things.
pleased to have Pooh Beard on the podcast.
Okay, next, Dan Ianson. He says, "Dear IGN, dear IGN, a lot of people hate the prequels of the Star Wars films. However, I grew up watching those films and enjoyed them, particularly the fight scenes, especially the one between Obi-Wan and Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. I feel they were much better. I was wondering, what do you think of the new films? Should keep these high-octane choreography fights or go back to the boring, slow choreographed ones of the originals? Also, Revenge of the Sith is my favourite Star Wars film. Yours sincerely, Daniel Lanson."
Now I'm going to defend him because I don't dislike the prequels. I think the
Revenge
main
of the Sith is the best of the prequels.
yes, I completely agree that those fights are quite exhilarating.
But
It's the Jedi at the height of their...
but
yeah,
what,
and it was never really a thing in the original.
because that's what I find a bit jarring when you then watch, like, you know, Obi-Wan in that fight in Revenge of the Sith and against Anakin, and then you go to episode 4 where they're literally
men.
and they're just like
Yeah.
zzz,
Yeah.
zzz. It's
They're
like,
old men.
come on, get a grip.
They're all
Like,
men. Also, they're actually like poles that are rotating with reflective material.
yeah, fair shout.
What about the Yoda fight at the end of Attack of the Clones? Because like I remember
Against
being in
Dooku?
cinema.
I remember
cinema, people going like, yeah,
Yeah, that was
and I was
amazing.
like, what? That's ridiculous.
No, I was quite young. I remember
loved it.
loving it, and then I really don't like the War Against the Emperor. That just goes on
Yeah.
for absolutely
Yeah.
ages.
What I don't like as well, I remember watching one of the behind the scenes ones of that one in Revenge of the Sith when the Emperor is fighting Mace Windu, I think it is, and Ian McDiarmid wanted to do a lot of his own stunts and stuff, and it kind of got you can see that there's quite a lot of tension on the set because he's doing it. You can see the stunt double cuts aren't very clear, and it's quite a messy fight. And so I think there's a time and a place. Like as you say, it kind of works when they're both old in episode 4, and I kind of think that actually if he'd just been a lot more still and not really gone in for the lights.
I think we'll have super fast lightsaber
I
fights.
was just thinking, because the
I
raid
do.
guys have.
Yeah,
signed up for it,
you
haven't
can't
they?
go
So,
back. It's
yeah.
like that thing. You just can't go. Won't go back to it.
Yeah, the rave, and also I'd be interested to see. You don't know how it'll change with the cross hilt, because that like fundamentally that changes the nature of how a sword will move. And so
you just couldn't have had Darth Vader in all of his gear, like bouncing around.
like really,
already out of breath. It's like, there's a great featurette on the building of the lightsaber on StarWars.com YouTube channel. I can't pronounce stuff now. And
No,
it shows
it's all gone.
behind the scenes footage of Luke fighting Vader in Return of the Jedi, and it shows them fighting with just sticks, because later on they worked out rotoscoping technology to put it in, but they still needed a stick to make contact and give it a sense of weight, so they weren't hitting walls and stuff. And there's a bit where Hamill because he's taking him on his father, and he's just absolutely goes crazy, like knocking him to the ground to the point that his lightsaber breaks.
Right.
And it's really intense, that scene. It's an intense scene anyway, but just watching it like with a regular camera not lit, it probably goes for him. It's a really interesting clip.
Yeah.
Cool. Long-time listener, first-time writer in, Kyle Barrett says, wondering your thoughts on Tomorrowland. After seeing the trailers, I'm pretty excited about it, and it looks like a classic Disney adventure. However, very few people are talking about it, including IGN, and it seems to be getting lost in the huge amount of blockbusters coming out this summer. Are you excited about it, and do you think it'll do well at the box office? Now, I didn't really know anything about this film until about 2 weeks ago.
It kind of fits into what we're talking about theme parks. It's based on a section of Magical Kingdom.
For me, it was when we went to a screener of Age of Ultron, and they showed the trailer before that, and that was the first time that I had really heard anything about it. I'd maybe heard the name in passing, but
considering it's a Clooney movie.
But I don't know. Part of me wonders. I mean, this may just be me. Is he right for that role? Just from what I saw in the trailer, he just seemed very. George Clooney's always meant to be the kind of warmer, kind of quite comforting guy, but he seems very, I don't know, a lot more moany.
So I found,
grumpy.
when I watched the trailer, I kind of felt a little bit at odds with it. I didn't really kind of see where it was pitched, because it felt like it was supposed to be a family adventure, but at the same time, there's quite a lot of nasty things happening.
Yeah.
So it was definitely not the kind of film that I would go and see with my kids, but they're too young. So maybe teenagers. But they probably want to go and see.
I was kind of getting shades of something like a Jumanji type of movie. So it's a family adventure movie, but also there's got pedigree. Like the directed The Incredibles and Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol. Brad Bird. He's like a long-time Disney Pixar man.
Yeah.
So he's he's got some good
paper,
people behind the scenes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But I absolutely agree with Carl. There's literally no buzz about it. Me and Chris talk about it because we talk about it for work.
Yeah.
But don't really think about it much.
And it's out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
really not very long.
Looking at that trailer, I just remember thinking, because it mainly focuses in that room when all the things are coming down, like the shutters and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to see more Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland looks awesome. Show me more Tomorrowland. But it seemed to focus a little bit heavily in the real world, and part of me was like,
But you'd want to keep that stuff back.
Yeah,
but I kind of wanted that to be teased a bit
It's
more.
that tradition, I think, of kid movies, family movies about hidden reality, like a labyrinth or Never Ending, where kids slip into another reality. Harry Potter to an extent, but most of it takes place elsewhere. Yeah. And I think that is like a good family genre.
But I do think they're going to struggle with awareness.
Yeah.
I just don't know how many people know about it.
So, Ben Harris has written in and says, "Good day and a hearty duck hunt, gentlemen. Multiple endings. I'm sure you've probably discussed it before, but I can't remember what was said. He's recently finished Bloodborne, and after many hours of play, he reached the decision part and unwittingly taken the completion option, avoiding spoilers. So he knows he can play through again and see the other endings, but he felt a bit cheated, as if he'd been given an inferior ending. What are our thoughts?"
So
kind of what's the thought
I'm
on-
going to tiptoe around this because I realise that people might not have played it. So I know what he's talking about, and I think he thinks it's and I think there's a point to be made that it's an inferior ending. So this is a minor spoiler. So if you don't want to know, do either of you care?
I don't.
I'm okay.
So you get to the end, and if you make one decision, you miss out on 2 subsequent boss battles. So there's 2 optional bosses.
Wow. That's quite a big thing to miss out.
But what I would say, I know all the endings. I picked a different one, and it makes sense. There's a storyline that they want to tell, and you making that decision isn't just game over. That serves a particular way of closing the narrative.
Yeah.
So does the other ending.
Right.
So yes, I think you are cheated in the sense that you don't get that other boss battle.
Yeah.
And that is annoying if you particularly like Bloodborne for the boss battles. But it makes sense story wise. Yeah. And also it's that thing where your character is given a choice with a consequence. You are that character, you make that choice and you feel the consequence.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you know, that's you at its most role playing.
Yeah. So, well, the example I was going to bring up is Far Cry 4, which in the opening scene where you first meet.
Actually, it's 3 optional boss battles.
When you first meet Pagan Min, it says, "Take a seat there. I'll be back in a minute," and you can literally sit there for 10 minutes. He comes back, and then that's the end of the game. So you could skip the entire game if you wanted to. But so I like the fact they included that. But similarly, I got to the end, and I think there's either 2 or 3 different endings, and I chose there's 2 endings. Sorry, and I felt shortchanged by my ending. And again, I don't want to go into any details about it, but it's you're playing the game. And I made my decision, and bang, it finished. But it was my decision, and I can see why they did it.
I guess what he's maybe talking about as well is the fact that you might not know
the other end.
Like you might not. Yeah, you might. The thing is with Bloodborne, you need to do certain things to get some of the other stuff.
Yeah,
and then True Nature is quite cryptic.
Well, because that's kind of my thing. Like I don't mind like Mass Effect ending type thing where there's lots of different endings and it filters in from your choices. That's fine, but Final Fantasy X-2, there's this, basically the whole premise of the game is one of the characters from the first game, who your character was in love with, has disappeared and you're trying to find them again. And if you do, you have to get this, what's called the perfect ending. And that literally means in conversations where there are like 5 options, you have to pick the right one.
Right.
At every stage throughout the game, throughout, over 40 hours to get the perfect ending. And if you do, at the very, very end, the 2 are reunited, and it's a great ending, and that is the perfect ending. That's the one that everyone chooses. That's the canon one. But then, if you only get 80% of the right answers, 80 to 99, you get something else. Then 60 to 79, something else, and you'll never. And as you say, because so few people get it, you'll never really know, and you just think, especially because the game was created because people were so gutted about that person disappearing at the end of the first game. They were just
annoying, it's just really hard to get the happy ending.
Yeah, like
well,
to get
I'm always looking for the perfect ending. I rarely get it.
No, it's hard to get the happy ending.
It is,
You are
Rick Crossley has written up in. Hey, Rick. Rick is part of the Duck Hunt community.
Duck Hunt.
IGN UK podcast Facebook group, and I think he's organised a night, a London meetup because we haven't. Cheers, Rick. So we're reading this out.
In case being honest.
So it's for. So what date is this? Is it?
I believe it's a week on Friday.
Yeah.
Check. It's no date on the email. I think it's the 12th because I'm going to go. But
yeah. Well, we might make.
Someone just check while I read out the other details.
Yeah.
Well, if it's the 12th, that's not Friday.
Oh no,
it's a week on Friday.
Okay,
So
but
that would be.
Bear with.
You've
15th.
probably already checked your own calendar by now. It's the 15th. I'm pretty sure
It
it's
is the 15th.
It's the 15th. So in case anyone missed it, it's from 6 p.m. at Loading Bar, which is in Dalston, London. There'll be a Mario Kart tournament, followed by a quiz and loads of other stuff. There'll be games to play. There's going to be stuff given away, and there might also be a cake.
It's from 15th from 6 p.m.
Right. So you're going to be there, Krupa?
Yeah, and
I can't make it, unfortunately.
Some of us will be there, and if you want to know more, go to tinyurl.com/Duck Hunters London. Cheers, Rick.
There you go.
Sick.
And that finishes off this week's podcast in style. Thank you, gentlemen.
Oh, what a happy ending.
What a happy ending.
A perfect ending.
And I would say that you got most of your answers wrong. So, happy endings can come to everyone.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you very much. And until next week, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.